there, and welcome to another episode of The Bible. Wait, what? Yes, this is the podcast that unravels the mysteries of the Bible's most perplexing, puzzling, and thought-provoking passages. My name is Rohan, and each session I'm joined by a member of our team at C3 Church Camden, Picton, and Thirroul as they quiz me on some of the more complicated, confusing, challenging, and even confronting passages that we read in our weekly Bible reading plan. We understand that reading the Bible can be a challenging and perplexing experience. Many people just don't know where to start, they get confused, and so they give up. Well, that's why this podcast exists, to equip you with the tools and the knowledge to explore the richness and depth of the Bible for yourself. So grab your Bible, take a deep breath, and join us as we explore this week's passages. To learn more about us or to get in touch with us at C3 Church Camden, Picton and Thirroul, visit any of our three locations' websites. That's c3camden.church, c3picton.church and c3thirroul.church. Or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube just by searching for any of our locations' names. So without any further delay, let's dive into today's conversation.
Well, welcome to the Bible Wait What podcast. My name's Shannon.
Hello, Shannon.
Pastor Rohan.
Hello, everybody.
And today we are looking at Ecclesiastes, chapter 4 through to chapter 8.
Indeed.
It's going to be a good one. I'm excited.
You're excited? You got lots of Hevel conversation to come.
Hevel. It's going to be a Hevel conversation.
Not a heavy. Well,
not heavy.
It might be heavy, but it'll be Hevel as well.
Hopefully it's not heavy. And look, if you've never heard the word Hevel before, it's going to be a Hevel good time. Hopefully.
Very good.
Had to get that one in. This is
a Hevel of a good time.
A Hevel of a good time.
That's good.
Don't turn off now. Don't turn off now.
No, dad jokes are still just getting started.
We're just getting started. There'll be three more. I promise. That's all. That's all we'll do. Oh, that's all I'll do anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't got them written out, though. They'll just naturally
you just naturally think on your feet, Shannon. You'll be fine.
I'm so sorry if you can't do the dad jokes. I promise no more. Have you seen that video of the dads being indoctrinated into dad jokes?
Oh, no, not that one. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's amazing. You know, there's one dad that just like he fully embraces it, and there's one dad resisting, going, "Don't go to the dark side." I'm like, I tried to resist.
You're trying
years.
to resist. No, you can't resist. It gets to the point when you get teenagers and where you want to embarrass them, so you tell dad jokes just to embarrass your kids.
Yeah, they're 17.
Yeah, that's right. Your kids are at that stage now.
So
yep.
The embarrassment.
There's a joy in embarrassing them, isn't there?
There is.
There is.
You know, it's when they blush. You know you've really
embarrassed them in front of their friends.
Totally. Well, let's get into it. I've got so many screens now. I don't know which one to
got computer,
open. I've got the computer. I've got the iPad. I'll open the iPad up and maybe just read. I've got some verses that I've popped out with some of the harder questions.
Sure.
And then we might sort of read and pop the harder ones out, because Ecclesiastes, I think Ecclesiastes gets hard done by.
It does get a bad rap.
It does, because everyone goes, "Oh, it's so depressing. It's misunderstood."
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's like an onion.
Tell me more.
I think it's like an onion. There's layers to it, and I think you've got to peel it back, and there's going to be some tears.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, you're going to cry a little bit,
but you're going to feel depressed a few times.
But I think the more you understand it, the wisdom breaks through.
Come on, that's right.
And you go, "Oh, that's what that means. Yeah. Oh, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Oh," and you go deeper and deeper, and then you get the clearer understanding. You go, "Oh, it's actually not that depressing."
Now, it actually can be a book of hope if you get far enough into it.
Yes, and I hope today that by the time we finish, that you by the time you hear us out, you go, "I actually feel more hopeful now than I did when I first started."
Well, we've been on a bit of a mission. We've done Revelation in the hope of making people more hopeful.
Yes.
And now we're transitioning into Ecclesiastes and making people feel more hopeful.
Exactly right. So I'm hoping that's what we get out of today, is that you'll be more hopeful out of Ecclesiastes. And that's a mission, I think.
That is a mission, but let's go
That is
there.
a mission.
And I want to give advance notice to our listeners that if Rohan starts to say stupid stuff, it's because this is podcast 3 of the day before I go on holidays. This will be out. I'll be heading off to Singapore as this comes out next week. But so yes, I've recorded one with Becky Babington, which was actually a quite short one, but coming up in a few weeks' time. That was only just over an hour. But then I recorded 3 hours with Amanda. So if Shannon and I say stupid stuff, just forgive me and just say, I'll try not to fall asleep on you. But my brain is a little bit fried by now.
See, this could be a really dangerous mix. You've had a very long day. You're ready for some silliness.
Yes, this could be longer just from the silliness.
Just the fun. This could be a
fun.
whole lot of fun. Who knows where we're going to go there?
Who knows? We're going to have a hevel of a good time.
A hevel of a good time. Okay. So, where do we start? So, I'm not sure. Oh, look, Ecclesiastes, there's 2 characters in Ecclesiastes.
There is indeed. Yep.
So, we have the author, and then we have the teacher.
Yep.
And so there's an author who introduces us. It's almost like the MC.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The MC goes, hey, welcome to the conference. Yep. We're here today to listen to this speaker.
The teacher.
The teacher's going to teach us, and then I'll be up to let you know what's coming up next.
Yep, and to sum up what the teacher said.
Basically, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
And so we have this little intro, and then we pass it over to the teacher, and the teacher teaches, and then the author comes back and goes, so that's what we've learned.
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
so there's lots of history of who's written, and we're not going to get into that sort of stuff today.
I actually touched on some of that. We did chapters 1 to 3 very quickly in last week's episode. And we just sort of did a flyover of it. But yes, we touched on the fact that there's all kinds of history about whether it's Solomon or someone like Hezekiah or someone else, that there's all kinds of beliefs about that, but none of us know 100%.
And we'll never know.
No.
But I don't think we need to.
No.
But
it's a timeless message.
Exactly right. We don't need to know who was the author, but we know that it was written by someone that has gone through life.
You're talking about who was the teacher, you mean?
Who the teacher
was. Yes, that's right.
That's gone through life, lived life as a bit of an experiment,
yep,
and has learnt some really big lessons in life.
Yep.
And has documented it all.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a live experiment.
Exactly right. It's this big experiment. Goes, well, look, I've tried this, I've tried that, and I've tried all these other things. Here's how it went.
Yeah.
And sometimes it went really well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it didn't go so well. And so Proverbs is sort of like, most of the time, if you do this, here's the average outcome.
Yeah. Generally speaking, if you behave a certain way, this would be the anticipated result on all things being equal.
Yeah. And, 90% of the time, this will usually work.
Yeah, generally,
it's not a promise.
No.
It's not actually, if you do this, you'll get that.
That's right. That book of Proverbs should not be read as promises. It should be read as general principles for life.
Probabilities.
Probabilities. That's a good way to put it.
It's the probabilities. Yep. Where Ecclesiastes is, well, this happened to me.
It's dealing with the 10% of times when you do the best you can and it still blows up in your face.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Yep. So let's get into it. Let's chapter 4. So my first one, he starts off, I've observed the oppression, which under the sun. I love that you'll hear this term, under the sun. And it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Under the sun, you just got to think of the beach and, you're out there sunbaking under the sun, but usually it means working, tears, hard work.
Yep, that's
hard
right. Yep.
work under the sun.
Yep.
But verse 4, I think, is where I want to start, if I can even see with verse 4. There it is. Then I observed that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbor.
Ooh, boom.
But this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Now, we're going to introduce the word hevel.
Here we go.
In here. So, hevel, meaningless. Let's talk about what hevel is, Pastor Rohan.
Take it away, Shannon. You were telling me just as we were getting ready to start that there's even more meanings to this meaningless word than I thought there could possibly. Would you say 40 meanings or something?
Yeah, well, no, it's used 40 times.
40 times, okay.
And there's multiple different meanings
right,
to it. So depending on the context of where it's used, It can mean different things.
Okay, gotcha.
And so
That's not that uncommon even in English, is it? Yeah,
Well,
we understand that. too.
Exactly right. Well, you look at the word love
Yeah.
in English; it means a whole heap of different
Correct.
things. So I started diving, and it's becoming a very deep dive. And it got so deep, I went, I probably need to learn to become a Jewish scholar to
it's
really
that deep.
understand.
We need to check out Rabbi such and such and see what he has to say about
Exactly right, because
it. What does Rabbi Shakim say about this?
yeah, and this word is a beautiful word because there's no direct translation in the English, but the best way we can describe it is like smoke or vapor, where you can see this thing, but as soon as you go to grab it and get hold of it, there's nothing there.
Yeah, right.
It slips through your fingers. You can see it,
But you can't
but
contain
you can't
it.
contain it. You can't get hold of it.
And it's here 1 minute and gone the next.
And gone the next. That's right. And so there's all these different meanings behind it. And so there's no English word of it's here today, gone tomorrow. It's a bit like a shadow as well. That's another meaning for it of your shadow is here in the morning and
Yeah,
it's gone in
God.
the evening.
Gotcha.
By the time the evening's here, there's no more shadow. So your shadow's around through the day, but it's gone in the evening. So it's temporary.
It's temporary. It's passing. It's
It's momentary.
unstructured.
Yep. And you can't grab a shadow.
No, that's right.
You can't hold on to a shadow.
Yep.
And so it's this word that we don't have in English, and it's
No.
frustrating because
It almost needs a whole explanation, like a whole sentence to explain it.
or 40 sentences to
40
explain
sentences
it,
to explain it.
and we've got one word,
Yeah.
and in this translation, it's meaningless. There's other words that we've seen in here is vanity.
That vanity of vanities, I think the old King James says.
Yeah.
Everything is vanity. Yeah.
That's right, and it's that chasing after, that useless chasing after of it's worthless. Meaningless.
So I wonder if meaningless isn't the best best translation. Like if it said, but this too, life. If it was to say, life is like smoke, it's like chasing the wind, or life is formless and empty like smoke. I mean, even that needs an explanation, but it kind of it helps me go on a bit of a quest to understand what it's meaning.
Yep.
Rather than meaningless. If I looked at the English word and just saw meaningless, I think I'm going to miss the meaning of the word because I'm saying it's meaningless. But I don't think that it would have been better to leave the word a bit more open-ended.
That's right. Because as soon as you say meaningless, you just go, there's no point to it.
There's no point to it. Yeah, and that's so when you say, but there's no point to this. There's an element of truth in that, but we've missed the nuance of the meaning.
We've missed the whole picture.
Yeah.
Of you can see it, it's there, but as soon as you go and reach out to grab it, there's nothing there.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's all there for you to grab, and as soon as you reach out to take hold of it, you've done it wrong because there's nothing to grab. Yeah. And so if you're putting your faith in the thing that you shouldn't be putting your faith into, it all falls over.
Yeah, that's right.
And so there's this deeper meaning. This heavy word has so many nuances to it, and it's going to get. That's where it gets a bit deep.
Okay.
So I observed that most people are motivated to succeed because they envy their neighbor, but this too is hevel, like chasing the wind. What does that mean, Pastor Rohan?
When you said that, I straight away thought Garden of Eden, eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Like, I'm going to take for myself. I'm going to take. Because if I envy your success or my perception of what your success is, if my driving force to succeed is only so that I can receive recognition in your eyes or recognition in my eyes, that is going to be like I am putting my faith in smoke. Because just when I get there, by the time I get there, you've moved on.
Yeah.
You're somewhere else. Or I get there and find it's not actually filling me with purpose the way I thought it was. I'm not as happy as I thought I would be, and I've just grasped at smoke. So that's quite a specific type of hevel.
Yep.
He's going to use the word hevel multiple times, but in this case, it seems to me he's specifically talking about some kind of quest to succeed that's based around jealousy or envy or comparison game, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep. And there's a lack of satisfaction in that as well. There's fruitlessness
that's right.
in it, because if you're not doing what you're called to do, and so whatever you're called to do, you're not doing, and there's no fruit in it for you.
No, it's empty.
There's no satisfaction. There's an emptiness to it.
It's like if we're just trying to get our security from recognition of other people rather than recognition from God.
Yes.
Or getting recognition from myself, like affirming to myself, this is going to make me whole. When ultimately it won't make me whole.
No.
Because it's like empty. It's Jeremiah chapter 2. God says, my people have done two wicked things. They've forsaken me, the well of living water, and they have dug for themselves cracked cisterns that cannot hold water. When I'm trying to get this meaning, purpose from something that's based in an unhealthy desire for recognition, I might get there, and by the time I get there, all the water's drained away, and it isn't giving me the life I thought it was. It's like it's meaningless. It's hevel.
And then once you get there, you got to go and do something else again.
You got to find something else to do it.
Because what you thought was going to give you that satisfaction, it's dry.
That's right.
And you got to go and find it again, and it's that endless search.
Yep, that's
endless
right.
Search.
And Jesus, John 4, woman at the well, talking to him, talking to her, and he's making that point that she's searching for meaning in all her relationships, and it's hevel.
Yeah.
The teacher's going to talk about relationships being hevel too. So whether it's money or power or influence or success, they're all going to ultimately lead to hevel. The only thing is going to be security in Christ. Yeah.
Yep. And hevel's used in the Bible elsewhere as well. It's not just in Ecclesiastes. Yep. Used elsewhere.
All right.
Okay, our next one is chapter 7 and 8. Verses 7 and 8, sorry.
7 and 8.
Let's not. Let's just finish off on chapter 4. Hey, I observed yet another example of something meaningless, hevel, under the sun. This is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It is all so heavelless, meaningless, and depressing. Whew. That's heavy.
Yeah. So now he's talking about working for success, striving to get some kind of meaning out of or affirmation out of getting wealth.
Yeah.
Working to get as much wealth as if I can just get enough money, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
If I just get enough money, I'll be worth something. I'll matter.
Yeah, that's right. It's putting that our employment, our drive at work into, if I just keep doing, whether it's at work or in life, the doing, and not actually building those deeper relationships and investing into people, we live those empty lives.
Totally. Well, actually, I'm just looking at this. We always quote verse 9 out of context. You often see it in weddings. Two people are better than one, so they can help each other succeed. But in the context of what you've just read, that's his solution. He's saying this guy's working on his own. He doesn't have family around him. He's striving to get all this success, and he's got no one to share it with. He's got no one to enjoy it with. But if you had someone to enjoy it with, it'd be better.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd be able to help one another and support one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here he is, this guy's working so hard, but he's got no one to share it with. There's no joy in it for him.
Yeah.
Because he goes home at the end of the day. And later on, we're going to talk about it. He goes home and then he's just tired.
Yep.
He's just tired.
He's just weary. It's weary, yeah.
Yep. And again, it leads to emptiness, this dissatisfaction, the pointless living, and the toil without purpose. Because toil can be good.
Yeah. Yep,
They're-
it's not
'cause
all bad.
There can be toil with purpose.
Adam and Eve were supposed to toil in the garden.
Yeah.
just not, but they were supposed to toil with purpose.
That's right.
Yep.
Toiling with purpose. We can be called to do that.
Yep. In
But-
fact, I think we're created for that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of purpose comes from toiling for the right reasons.
Yeah. But when we toil without purpose,
That's Hebel.
yeah, hevel.
Mm.
Let's jump down to verse 16.
Mhm.
This is the end of the verse. Let's read from 13 onwards, actually.
Sure.
Because that's going to make more sense.
Yeah, I think it does. You're right.
It's better to be it's better to be poor but wise youth than an old and foolish king who refuses all advice. Such a youth could rise from poverty and succeed. He might even become king, though he's been in prison.
Okay.
Well, there you go. I love this because I think this is a bit of his own testimony.
You reckon this is where he's coming from?
I think this is where he's come from.
He could be a little bit
I think
facetious
this is
here.
like, look,
He
this
was
is
the
this
brash
is
young
my
prince
little
who
story
was
here.
misbehaving.
I think this is like, oh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
But then everyone rushes to his side of yet another youth who replaces him. Endless crowds stand around him, but then another generation grows up and rejects him too. So it's all meaningless, like chasing the wind.
So all this quest for purpose
Yep.
is like running after the wind.
Yeah.
You can never catch up to it.
All the ambition,
Yep.
all the achievements, all the glory, you know, being up on that pedestal. You know, it's you're there on that pedestal one day.
Yep.
Where everyone wants to be your best mate.
Yep.
Look at me, I'm the king.
It don't last very long because someone else comes along and boosts
knocks you
off.
off.
Yep. And then not long later, you're forgotten completely.
Yep. And then that person that knocked you off is also
You're going to
forgotten.
get knocked off. Yeah, that's right. And in the earlier chapters 2 and 3, where, I mean, by this stage, the teacher is now talking about his observances of others. But in chapters 2 and 3, he's actually saying how he tried all these things himself first.
Yeah.
He tried money. He tried power. He tried hard work. He tried women. He tried alcohol. He did the whole lot, the quest himself. And he says it's Hevel, and now he's going to go on and say this about everyone else. And in the early chapters, he talks about the fact that, you know, the mountains were there long before you were, and the mountains will be long after everyone's forgotten you.
Yep.
The mountain's still there. The mountains are the one thing that stay the test of time. And he's trying to say, if you're trying to seek the prowess of this life, it doesn't last long. It's going to be gone.
Yeah, there can always be that sense of dissatisfaction. That if that's what you're seeking, then there's going to be this sense of dissatisfaction when you've reached it and then you get knocked off that perch.
Totally.
That's not going to last forever.
And it's not that we shouldn't seek to use. It's not that we shouldn't seek to succeed in life.
No, that's right.
To do well. Because, you know, Joshua talks about, I want you to do well in life. The problem is when we seek to do well for the wrong reasons.
Yes. Outside of what your calling is.
And the seeking to do well, we should always be others focused. I want to succeed in life so that I can add value to other people. If I can use my power or my influence, power is not a dirty word. The abuse of power is.
Yes.
But if I can use my power to benefit other people, I can use my wealth to benefit other people or whatever it might be, my gifts for the benefit of others, that's actually not futile. That's not Hevel. That's actually the ultimate purpose. But when we are using it inappropriately, that's when it's like a crack cistern.
Yeah.
It won't hold water.
And the key there, it's that everyone rushes to their side, where if you're there for the right purpose and the right reason, you're actually rushing to their side.
Good call, Shannon.
You're there going, now I'm in power.
Yes,
and
I'm going to add value
I'm
to you.
able to help.
Yeah, beautiful.
How can I help? I've now got the resource to help. What do you need?
Yeah, brilliant.
What needs to get done?
Not how can I now use my power to get you to do more for me?
Yes,
That's
exactly
Hevel.
right. That's Hevel.
Yep.
Because it's here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
But while you've got that influence, how do you use it today?
Brilliant.
Before it's gone tomorrow.
That's good,
To
Shannon.
make change. Oh, there you go.
That'll win.
Round of applause. That'll preach, right?
That's so good.
So that's chapter 4.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter
Okay.
5, here we go.
Chapter 5, approaching God with care. Now, you sort of almost think, is he crawling on his knees at this point? Do you know what I mean? Like approaching God with care. My goodness. Because this, Hevel continues. The concept of Hevel really does continue here. It's quite significant. So we're going to jump down to chapter 10 through 12.
Verses 10 to 12. Okay.
Jump down there. So those who love money will never have enough.
Oh, yeah.
How meaningless to think that wealth brings happiness.
And this is a rich dude who's saying this.
Yeah, yes.
This is the king.
This is the king.
This is the guy who had all the money in the world, and he's telling us that.
Yes.
So we should learn from him. And look at Hollywood.
Yes. The more you have, the more people come to help you spend it.
Which is a way of saying the more people want to use you.
Yeah. So what good is wealth, except perhaps to watch it slip through your fingers? There's
another
Hevel
Yeah, that
right
is, isn't
there.
it? Yep.
People who work hard sleep well. Wealthy,
Whether they eat
whether they eat little or much, but rich seldom get a good night's sleep. Ow.
So this quest for money and worrying about people stabbing you in the back and worrying about people wanting to use your money and all that, he's saying that's just unending.
It's never ending. It's constant. There's a pain there.
Yes.
And he's gone through the pain.
Yeah.
Like he sounds like he's gone through the ringer.
He would have had, like any king, anyone in a royal court, there would have. You watch it and you watch the history of history shows about medieval Europe. There's so much politicking going on in the court.
Yeah.
About who can sidle up to the king, who can get the influence, who can get the power. I can imagine that must have been incredibly tedious and tiresome, non-stop.
Yeah. There was a young fella last week who was out fishing up in the Northern Territory, and there was a fishing comp on to catch a barramundi. And if it had this little red tag on it, you'd win
one of those ones.
$1 million.
Right.
Anyway, he lands the fish.
He landed the fish, did he?
For $1 million. And he's had a little bit of trouble in his life, tried to sort that sort of stuff out, but this has set him up for life. Now he wants to buy a boat, wants to buy a car, and he wants to pay back a bit of trouble that he got himself in. And he gets asked a question, how many people have come out of the woodworks after your money? And he goes, oh, yeah, there's a few.
A few grave diggers around there.
And he goes, but there's one particular one that's got a few unnice words to say about me. He goes, but you know what? I'm $1 million richer than he is.
Yes, he's acknowledging that some of there's money out there everywhere. And
Yeah.
people, he's gold digging is what it was.
Yeah, and he sort of, this is it. He goes, wow, like they didn't care about me or anything before I had money.
Yep.
But as soon as I landed a fish worth $1 million,
suddenly out they come.
They all come out of the woodworks.
Oh, totally. That's exactly what he's saying here.
And this is Hevel.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
Now he wants to set himself up. He'll be able to buy himself a house. He wants a boat so he can go fishing and a car to be able to tow it. Buy himself a house. He's all of 18, 19 years old. And that's what he's going to be able to go and do.
Yep.
And good on him.
Yeah.
Great news.
Yeah, that's right. It's great news.
And
but means he's going to have the pressure of everyone coming after him and sidling up to him now.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
He wants to pay off a bit of an issue. And you go, why can't people celebrate that for him?
Yeah.
But yet, here's this issue of people coming out of the woodworks after him. And I want you to do this for him. I want you to do that. And here it is, right? And
that's a great example of what this is like.
Yeah.
Which it's not that the money's bad. It's just that you just need to realize that Paul says, I've learned the secret of contentment, whether I have a little or a lot. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Because when you have a lot, you're still going to need Christ to strengthen you because you've got all this other stuff. And when you have little, you need to rely on Christ because, he's your source.
Yeah, definitely. So, I read this and you look at it and you go, wow, there's trouble. Either way. Whether you're rich or you're poor, there's trouble.
Yep.
And there's hevel.
Life is full of hevel.
Life is
everywhere
hevel
you
there.
go, life is going to be hevel.
So, slipping it through the fingers.
Yeah.
Let's skip down to verses 15 and 16. It's not long after that.
Yep.
And this too is a very serious problem.
Death.
People leave this world no better off than when they come. And their hard work is for nothing. Like working for the wind, Hevel. Throughout their lives, they live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry.
You can see why this is a depressing book at many levels.
Yep. Oh, sorry, I should have read 15. Sorry.
Read, yep.
Yep, sorry. We all come to the end of our lives as naked and empty-handed as on the day we were born. We can't take our riches with us. And this too is a very serious problem.
Yep.
People leave this world no better off than they came. All their hard work is for nothing, like working for the wind. Yeah.
This is quite a challenging topic. Just down the road, like a few hundred kilometres down the road, you've got Egypt. And the Egyptian kings, they tried to take their wealth with them. They would bury themselves with all their wealth, with this belief that would take them across into the afterlife and they would be able to carry their wealth with them. Along comes the king of Israel, whoever this king is, Solomon or Hezekiah or whoever, and he's going, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You know, you can't take this with you. It's going to be left behind. And that's the mentality they have here. And he's trying to paint the picture that if you're chasing it, then in the end, you're not going to get anything. I think one of Jesus is picking up on this when he says in Matthew 6, store up for yourselves treasure in heaven where, you know, thieves cannot break in and steal and moss cannot destroy and rust cannot defeat you and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Worm can't get you. And I think he's talking about that. There is a way. This is the irony of it, is Jesus would say there is a way to take your wealth with you, but it's not by storing it up. It's by using your worldly wealth and your influence and your power for building others into the kingdom. And when you do that, you are storing up and investing into an eternal reward.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not literally hoarding it to be surrounding it so hopefully it's going to transfer. It's literally resourcing it. And, you know.
I think, is it Proverbs? Proverbs? It says, those who are generous to the poor lend to the Lord and he will repay them. I don't think it's Proverbs, but that's the same principle.
Yeah. And it's stewardship, right?
It is stewardship.
It's using the resources you've been given and stewarding it wisely. And so, I look at these verses and people can get so disheartened and go, wow, is this all for nothing?
Yeah.
But it's like, well, this is not what it's saying. It's like we come with nothing and we will go with nothing. And if we're not wise and we go, well, if I'm just going to work and try and just bunker down, focus on me and just don't worry about, you know, doing what's right, it's Hevel.
Yep.
But if I actually am a steward with what God's given me and I fulfill my calling,
then that's the stuff that transcends time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's in chapter 7, it talks about, you know, having a good name is like perfume.
Yes.
And I've
heard it said this way too. Sorry, cut you off. Keep going.
This is the thing, like, we talk about here is that, you know, having a good name, if you're fulfilling your calling and you're doing what, you know, God is calling you to do, it is like having a good name that is like perfume.
It's beautiful. That's
you know,
right.
I can't remember where I was this week, but someone walked past me and they had just a really nice perfume on. I went, oh, that's nice. And it was refreshing.
Yes.
You know?
And a good name is like that.
It's like that, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And so you go, oh, that was really nice. Yeah. But, you know, like if the opposite happens and it's not a nice smell,
you notice that too. It's off-putting.
That's a bit rough.
And he would say that storing up your wealth is like a stench.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will be a stench. I heard it put this way years ago. You know, I've never been to a funeral and heard a eulogy where, let me tell you about Shannon. Shannon was really rich. Shannon kept everything for himself, but man, he was successful in life. Man, did well. He had a really nice car. He had a big house. But he was really don't worry about his relationships with his children or anything, but he was just really really rich. That's worth celebrating. You don't hear eulogies
You never
like that.
hear that, do you?
What counts is
ever.
in the end. What counts is how you related to people.
Yeah.
The interpersonal relationships. What value you've instilled into others. That's what people will remember, if anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point he's saying here.
Yeah, there was a funeral last week for a very wealthy man in Sydney, and it was on the news. And in fact, he was so wealthy that there was a 2-minute news segment,
Oh, really? That's worthy of it.
and every person that spoke, his children, associates, friends, all talked about his relationships.
There you go. That's the case in point.
Didn't talk about
Didn't talk about all the money.
how much he gave away
Yep.
or anything like that.
Yep.
It was all about the deep relationships.
There you go.
And this guy was filthy rich.
Yeah.
But all that meant nothing.
Yep. In the end, he's not taking that with
He's
him.
not taking it with him.
No.
But the relationships that he'd invested into, it meant everything to all
That's
those
great.
people that were around him.
And that's quite. This can seem pointless. Were you going to do verse 19?
Yeah, we're going to do, in fact, 18,
18. Okay, good.
19, and 20.
Good.
We're
That's
going
right.
to do all three.
Yeah, good. Let's
okay?
do that because I knew that kind of that's the one bit of glimmer of hope in all of this. Is
so
this,
we're going to
these
do all
verses.
three, but we're going to split them up.
Yep.
So we're going to do 18, okay? Even so, I have noticed one thing, at least, that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. Now, this sort of sounds a little depressing. That you should just accept your lot
Just
in life,
accept your lot
Pastor
in life.
Rowan.
Just- yep.
You just accept your lot in life.
Just stay down and keep
you
quiet.
you just sit there and just accept your lot in life. But that is exactly the opposite of what it's actually saying.
That's exactly right, Shannon.
This is, you know what? Do you enjoy these moments?
Yep.
Take it
This is
daily.
the antidote to Hevel.
Yes. Like you can either go chasing after what you can't grasp.
Yep.
That you can chase those moments that look promising, that are empty, or you can take what's tangible in front of you with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues at work, and have meaningful moments with each of them.
Brilliant.
Enjoy,
Yep. Live in the moment.
eat, and drink, and have those conversations.
Yep.
Enjoy those moments.
Yep.
Create those memories. Laugh.
Great.
And those things, they're the things that people are going to remember.
Yep.
They're not going to remember, and we're going to talk about that in 2 chapters time, but they're not going to remember the things of, oh yes, well at work he created an amazing spreadsheet.
Yes,
He could
that's
create
right.
a spreadsheet like nothing.
Man,
no
he could
one
do
else.
the books well.
Oh, you know what? Oh, he could do that. Or he could mow grass. He could mow the grass like no one else. But I tell you what, he could make you feel like you were the only one in the room.
Yeah.
Or she could make you feel so comfortable, like you were the most incredible person,
Yep.
just because the way she looked at you.
Talk about living in the moment.
Yep. Those moments are just so special. And that only happens when you stop, you eat, you drink, and enjoy your life
Yep.
under the sun.
The short life. Even
The
it's even
short
saying that. So
life.
just recognize that.
It's a
and go,
warning.
It is. It's like you're not going to have it forever, but just just appreciate. It says the life that God has given them.
Yes.
So,
and it's valuable.
It's this explanation that no matter how sucky things feel, God's still there. He's still in the middle of it.
Yes. And it's temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary.
It's temporary.
Yep.
And so, like, I work in a thing called temporary community in camping, and it's 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
It's very temporary, And so we talk about, you come away and live in temporary community just for a moment. And what happens in those 2 or 3 days, it's amazing.
Oh, wow. I see where you're going with this.
Okay. So what can happen?
So expand that out to your temporary life.
Exactly right. So what can happen in just 2 or 3 days is amazing, what can happen in your temporary life is absolutely amazing.
Right. I wonder if the reason that this is a really good point I think you're making. The reason that so much can happen in a camp, a church camp, or something you go away for 2 or 3 days is because there's an expectation of living in that moment and experiencing everything there is in that moment.
It's intense because all of a sudden you're living in those spaces with each other. You're having conversations with each other that you wouldn't normally have.
But the point is, if we all approach life that way,
yes,
we could actually experience far more of those
moments,
highlight moments, those moments that aren't hevel in our lives, because our whole life is ultimately temporary.
Because we get busy.
Yeah.
Because we've got to do something.
Yeah, we get back to all the things, working and striving and all the things that he spent the previous chapters talking about.
Exactly right.
Yeah, wow.
And we do this after church, right?
Yep.
Oh, well, you know what? I've got to cram my day in after church. We've got to leave straight away because we've got to go and do this, we've got to go and do that, got to do that. But you know what? Don't.
If we could just spend 30 minutes of that moment, seize that moment and interact with people.
Have that conversation.
Have the conversations. Oh, that's brilliant, Shannon.
It's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing.
That's
Let's
brilliant.
do 19 and 20. They need to be done together. And it is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it. To enjoy your work and accept your lot in life, this is indeed a gift from God.
Mm.
God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past.
It's such a good thought. Talk
Now-
about philosophy. That's
Yeah.
such a great
Now,
thought.
there's a backhand in this,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we miss the backhand.
Yeah, tell me the backhand.
So-
Hit me with the backhand.
In fact, we're so busy enjoying our life, sometimes we don't take the time to look back at the past and go, wow, it's been pretty good. Yeah, that's been pretty good. I'm pretty thankful for that.
Yeah, I don't do that well.
I'm really thankful I got to have that experience. Oh, that was pretty hard. But you know what? I learned a lot of lessons there.
It's great.
And that's got me through all this other stuff, or that's prepared me for this moment.
Yeah, I went through that. God was faithful there. He can bring me to this. And,
That's right.
Learn from that.
And we forget what I call faith anchor moments
Yeah, that's great.
that anchors us to God, to Jesus, and to the Holy Spirit. That's got us through so many of our moments in our life that were our hurdles, but anchors us to the Trinity. But we just keep living our life.
Yep.
Because we're busy.
Yep.
And it's our gift from God because we keep receiving our gift. Oh, it's like Christmas Day, right? We just keep opening our gift, but we don't. We forget about all the gifts that we've been given.
Yeah, we just keep forward focused and not. If we don't live in the moment and we don't look back and with appreciation and thought about the past, we will miss the future. We will actually not miss the future. We will miss the best of what God has for us. Will ultimately bring us into a better future.
Yeah, and so we do need to sometimes just pause.
Yeah.
It's not stop and tools down and everything's got to stop for years. It's just a pause and appreciate and be thankful.
Well, I've heard John
celebrate.
Finkeldy's told us that in church life, church ministry over many years. He says in church life, you have to stop and celebrate the wins,
Yeah,
which is the same point. You know,
Yep.
even celebrate the little wins along the way. And for me personally, the way I'm wired, I'm very task driven. I can always see there's more to do.
always more to do.
And that's right, except I have to learn that what inspires me to keep going isn't necessarily what inspires everyone to keep going. And I miss out myself because I haven't stopped. We achieve a goal, I go, right, what's the next goal?
Yeah,
Rather than going, hang on, let's just, like you said, pause. Let's just take a moment to be thankful, reflect on
celebrate.
that thing and celebrate that moment. Live
Yeah.
in that moment. Have a glass of wine over that moment.
yeah, and
Yeah.
be thankful. And it's so hard to do because it's not our culture.
Yeah.
The Aussie culture doesn't do this well.
Yeah.
The American culture does, and you know what? As Aussies, we don't like it.
Right.
It's something that rubs us up the wrong way.
Tell me more.
We go, oh,
What's
that's arrogant.
That's arrogant. Yeah. How dare you pat yourself on the back?
That's so
I
arrogant.
see what you're saying.
Look at them.
Yeah.
They think they're so good.
Yeah. Right.
We'd never do anything like that.
I see.
We're too busy.
Yeah, we're too important.
Why would you stop and get unfocused like that?
Yeah, right.
No way. We'd never do that. And so we take our moral high ground
Yeah.
and we miss the moment.
We've missed the moment because we've become self-righteous.
Yep.
And we've actually ended up in hell.
And exactly right. And we're chasing the wrong thing.
Yeah, we've chased the wind.
And we miss God in it.
That's so good, Shannon. Let's be a people who stop and live in the moment.
Yep. And we've got to do that. We've got to do it more and more and more. Otherwise, we miss the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Because the highlight reel's playing right behind us.
Yeah, great.
The highlight reel that's so good and so rich that is letting us know our own story, and we miss it.
Good call.
And we don't want to get to the old age to look back and we go, I missed all the good bits.
Yeah.
We want to be living those good bits constantly.
In the moment.
In the
Yeah,
moments.
that's right. Rather than just chasing the wind.
Yeah, because by the time where we want to celebrate it, we're going to be too old to do it.
And he's going to talk about
And
that
it
in
will
later
be Hevel.
chapters. I don't know if we're talking about it today or not. We may do, but yeah, he's talking about the endless march of age, of time, and how we just get old.
Yeah.
You know, and he says, enjoy while your teeth are still in your mouth and while you can still get sexually aroused. He talks all this sort of stuff. He's saying enjoy it while you can, basically, because there'll come a day when you can't enjoy it and you want to enjoy it. That's right, Shannon. Yeah.
So
enjoy it in the moment.
So chapter 5 ends and, Hevel is still still there.
Front and center.
It's still front and
a little
center.
Moment of glimpse into the moral. What we've just seen there at the end of those last 3 or 4 verses was this little glimpse of what the main message is. In the middle of this meaningless is that you can find meaning if you embrace the moments of life rather than always be clamoring for more time, more money, more this, more that, as if to say, when I get there or when I get that, I'll be successful. He's going, no, you can be successful in the moment.
Yes.
That's the message, the hope.
Chapter 5 really does encourage the reflection on the shortness of life and the importance of seeking fulfillment beyond our world.
Yes, amen.
Beyond our world, in looking at what's the fulfillment in God.
Yeah, great. Yep,
What's the fulfillment in God?
Brilliant. All right, let's go to chapter 6.
Okay, chapter 6. Well, Hevel does continue. We're going to start with verses 1 and 2. A good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. Oh, it goes
You're in
downhill
chapter
from here.
7.
Oh, have I? I've got chapter 7.
chapter.
Oh, look at that.
You're super keen to get out of here, folks.
I already hit the next button, then I've hit next again.
Let's go back.
Let's go
to
back.
chapter 6.
Rewind. Okay.
Rewind.
Because we're going to do that in
We
chapter.
will do that in chapter
we're gonna
7.
do it in chapter 7 as well. Okay, let's start that one again. There is another serious tragedy I have seen under the sun. As I said, it's getting heavy again.
Yep.
And
Serious
it
tragedy.
weighs heavily on humanity. God gives some people great wealth and honor and everything they could ever want. But then he doesn't give them a chance to enjoy it. Enjoy these things. They die. Someone else, even a stranger, ends up enjoying their wealth. This is meaningless. A sickening tragedy. Ooh.
This is dealing with the issue of, sickness, premature death, grief, loss, all of those sorts of things.
Injustice as well.
Yep, injustice of it, yep. You never know when, if you're storing up treasure for yourself, you never know when your time is up. None of us do.
Yeah. And also about blessings, if there's no true fulfillment of a blessing as well.
Yeah, true.
And this is Hevel. This is the ugly side of Hevel, more the shadow side of Hevel.
True.
Of, the shadow's there, but then it's gone, it's into darkness.
Yep.
And this tragedy
It's a
for
sickening tragedy. Wow.
humanity. And he's seen it.
Mm.
He's seen it. and it makes him ill
Mm.
to the point where it's weighing heavily
Yeah.
on him.
Yeah.
And so as a king, he must have seen this. It must have been brought to his attention into his courtrooms many a times. He must have had to have dealt with this many a times.
Mm.
There's something about this story that makes me think he must be just.
Yeah, he has a sense of this is unfair. This isn't the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yes.
He can
you're
see
right.
people taking advantage
Yep.
of other people.
Yep. Even
going-
a stranger comes looking for your money.
Yeah. Well, hey, this was Bob's.
Yep.
And Bob's got no one.
Yep.
And so I was close to Bob.
Yeah, I was the next of kin.
Yeah.
I was a long lost uncle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's just going, man, Bob, Bob did work hard.
Yeah. Bob didn't deserve what happened to him.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't deserve to take and benefit from all the hard work that Bob did.
Bob did.
Yeah.
That's right. And
Yeah.
he could just see
That's a really good
see this,
thought.
and I look at that and I go, wow, what I don't have an answer in this.
No, and he does. I mean, this is
And
a
I
part
just
of
go,
living in a
"Oh,
fallen world that there are
pain."
unjust things. It's painful. These things
Yeah.
happen, and this is the exception to the Proverbs rule. Generally
Yeah.
speaking, work hard. Bob's going to be successful, but no one knows if Bob's going to get cancer or pass away in a
Yep.
car accident or whatever it might be. Horrible things that happen in
Mm.
life, and they are. And he's saying this weighs heavily. This is sickening tragedy. This is not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And yet he's calling out what we all know intuitively does happen. We know that these things happen in life. And he's saying it's almost like his heart's going, there's got to be more. And I guess
Yeah.
that's the point, is that he's going to say, look, that's the way the world is. There is aspects of that. So you need to make sure that you're not living for that. If you're just living, working hard, thinking that in the end you might be able to retire and travel the world or be a grey nomad, you may be able to,
But don't
but
wait.
there's no guarantees of that. Exactly. Don't forsake everything with that in mind, because what happens if it doesn't happen?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah. So that one for me, I looked at that one. Oh, this is a Pastor Rohan question. That's a curveball for you.
Yeah, it
But
is.
yeah, it was that one just sticks out, and you go, wow. There's something in that just don't wait
Yeah.
till retirement to enjoy the grandkids,
Yep,
to enjoy
great
the
thought.
family, to enjoy the holiday, to enjoy all those moments. Because I think we've all heard those stories, haven't we?
Yeah.
Where you go, oh, we know that person that waited to retirement.
Yep.
And just as they got there,
Something happens.
something happened.
Yeah, that's right.
And they've waited their whole life, and it's unfair. How's that just? How's that right? And we live in that fallen world.
We
and
do. I think the fact is we have to acknowledge it's not right, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way God intended it to be. It's a result of a fallen world. It's a result of things that are beyond our control. But that's the message here. Love God, fear God. I think it'll say at the end of Ecclesiastes, fear God, serve Him. And if you do those kind of things, put Him first, then He will make up for this, because we don't know. None of us know what tomorrow holds.
Yeah. Yep. Let's jump down to verse 9. Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind.
Mm.
Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I think the teacher here really does bring up a couple of points in this one around the pleasures, the fleeting pleasures
Yes.
of desires.
Yep. Yeah, the passing.
Those passing moments, and the things that aren't going to bring those lasting satisfactions, those lasting,
It's ultimately going to be meaningless.
yes, which are going to fail.
Yep.
And this is not saying don't dream.
Nope.
That's not what it's
Just
saying.
don't become obsessed with thinking that where you are now compared to where you want to be will somehow you'll achieve some level of success or meaning when you get there.
Yeah, the grass isn't greener on the
grass
other
isn't
side.
greener. That's right.
Or you know what? If I could just get this, this is going to happen.
Yep.
And that's where, we can get caught in that. We can all get caught in that. Oh, if I can just get this version of that, life will be good.
Yep.
And there's no guarantee that's going to happen.
Yep.
In fact, it usually means you're going to be in some sort of debt because you can't afford what you actually want.
You actually chased something that you couldn't afford. Exactly.
Yeah. And so, there's a bit of a warning here of, you know what? There's a contentment that we actually need to have. That if we're content with what we've got, that if there's more than given, that's great. And if there's not, that's also great.
Yes.
Like if you're content.
If you can find that secret of contentment
Yep.
that's not dependent upon what you have or don't have,
Yeah.
then you'll find true meaning, true contentment in life. Yeah.
And so, this one I found it was a hard one because you can just get caught up with that word, just dreaming about nice things is meaningless.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, it's not.
It's
that's not the
it's
message.
Just it's what it's saying is if you're just dreaming about nice things, like if that's becoming all consuming and all occupying and becoming the measure of your purpose in life, that's when it's meaningless.
Yeah, if it's consuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's okay to go, I have a dream to go on a holiday, or I have a dream to enjoy some aspect of life, or I have a dream
the vision
to get some wealth. That's all good.
Vision is a good thing.
That's not bad either.
We've got to have vision.
That's right.
But when we're just consumed with the desire, then that's where it's.
I'm thinking of James
wrong.
As you read that. I've just looked it up. I'm just trying to. There's another verse in James that I haven't found yet, but this is along the lines. James 1. If you need wisdom, ask your generous God, and He will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking, but when you ask Him, be sure that your faith is in God alone, not in the thing you're after. Do not waver, for a person divided in loyalty is unsettled as a wave of the sea. Such a person should not accept that expect that they would receive anything from God. And he goes on and says, believers who are poor have something to boast about, for God has honored them. And those who are rich should boast that God has humbled them, because they will fade away like a flower in the field. The hot sun will rise and the grass will wither and the little flower droops and fails and its beauty fades away. In the same way, the rich will fade away with all their achievements. So I think James is reflecting on this same principle that it could be here today and gone tomorrow.
Gone tomorrow. Hevel.
Yep, it's
right
Hevel.
there.
Yep. So don't think that your wealth is going to be the answer.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Yep.
Let's move on to the last verse in this chapter, verse 12. In the few days of our meaningless lives, isn't that encouraging?
Hang in there for the few days of
in the
complete
few
meaninglessness
days of your meaningless lives. Oh, and he wasn't like, I've heard this said. Oh, he was depressed. Yeah. He was melancholy. He was like,
that's right. I don't think that's the point he's making. I think he's been through his melancholy phase when he tried everything and he realized it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Now he's actually trying to explain that and say, let me give you the answers.
Let me help you out.
Yep.
In the few days, meaning these days that you have are so precious.
Yeah.
These days that you've got are numbered.
Yep.
And you should just fight for every single one of them.
I know.
Because they're so precious.
At 52 years of age, I haven't done this for a while, but it's worth sitting down and just thinking, how many more days might I have if I live to, say, 85?
Yeah.
Right? It's actually quite sobering to realise it's not a lot of days.
Even scarier, do it in months.
Do it in months.
And that will scare the living daylights out of you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So it's quite sobering.
Sorry, I shouldn't have told you that because that's scare the life out of you now.
Yep.
But in the few days of our meaningless lives, who knows how our days can best be spent? It's a question mark. Our lives are like shadows. Who can tell what will happen on this earth after we are gone? Pastor Rohan?
That one didn't finish with a positive statement. He's basically saying, look, guys, it's all going to pass. You don't know. It's actually in the end. You don't know what's going to happen. The life will go on without you. You're not that important. He's just drawing this whole thing of if you're chasing importance in all the wrong places, I think he's saying you're wasting your time. It's all hevel.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's, you know what, life, it's momentary. And we're going to play our part. And as you were saying before, at the beginning of the Ecclesiastes, the mountains were here before you.
Yep.
The mountains are going to be here
Yep,
after you.
Yep.
You're
written
going to
into
play.
the story. It's a beautiful time. Enjoy it, experience it,
Yep.
add value to the next generation, add value to God's kingdom, and that's what you'll store up and get to enjoy.
Yep. And you don't know what's going to happen after you're gone.
Nope,
Because
not at
that's
all.
not the story that you're going to be
It's
a part
not
of.
the part you need to be a part of.
You need to be a part of the story that you're in right
Yeah,
now.
that's right.
And so I think the encouragement here for us is don't worry about tomorrow. You know, this is where Jesus is talking, right? Don't
Tomorrow's got enough
worry.
worries, but they're not
It's-
your responsibility.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about that.
Yep.
You live
Live in the
today.
moment. Yep. You use
Live-
what you can now for God's kingdom today
Exactly right.
and
Because-
experience God's kingdom in your life today.
Those worries, they're going to take care of themselves.
Yep. That's right.
You live today.
Great.
Live with me today. And I think there's an encouragement here for us. We've got it. This is the onion layers, right? We've got to peel back some of these onion layers
That sound depressing.
that sound rough and hard, and we've got some tears here. But when we take these layers back, we go, oh, there's a nugget of gold in this
Yeah,
onion.
that's great.
Oh, that's a good bit of gold. I'll take that bit of gold.
Yep.
I'll carry that with me.
Yeah.
And so at the end of chapter 6, we find that there's lasting satisfaction in some of the words in chapter 6 that actually help us to pursue God and not the worldly satisfactions that we can go and pursue, but it points us to actually go, you know what? I want deeper meaning in my life. I want to chase what God's wanting me to chase, not what the world's wanting me to chase.
That's great. What the world's wanting to, what my own insecurities are wanting me to chase. I'm going to just seek to honor God with my life and, work for an audience of one. I heard someone say once,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
An audience of
one.
one, the
Yeah.
Trinity.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, ready for chapter 7? Nick
Chapter
gets to do
7.
chapter 7 this time around.
Yes, I'll do it justice, hopefully.
And as if you weren't depressed enough, let's just go a little deeper into the pit, shall we?
Oh, why not? Let's just dive right into that pit, hey? Verse 7, chapter 1 through 4. Because if you're going to go in, you might as well go right in, hey?
Yep.
A good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume.
Well, that's the one you just said.
Yeah, that's what I said. And
Yeah.
that starts at a high, right?
That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
We're on the up and up.
Yep.
But like a good roller coaster, you start up and then you're down real quick,
So
right?
the first part of the poem, this is Old Testament Hebrew poetry is parallelism of thought. It's not always parallelism of rhyming words, but they'll say the same thing two different ways, or they'll contrast two different things. Good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. That sounds really good.
Beautiful.
All the day, and the day you die is better than the day you were born.
What?
What has that got to do with what he just said?
Huh? That's why this is here. Okay, we'll keep reading.
It gets darker, doesn't it?
Better you spend your time at a funeral than at a party. Okay, now we're going really deep. After all, everyone dies. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for that encouragement.
So the living should take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refreshing influence on us. A wise person thinks a lot about death, while a fool thinks only about a good time. Let's break this down.
Okay, go for it. Oh, you're asking me to break it down. Was that let's us or Rohan? You break this down.
Let's break it down. We'll do it together.
Okay.
The first one's pretty easy. A good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. Like if you've got a good reputation, it's more.
Well, he's talking about death. I mean, you've already said that at the end of death, the thing that will transcend beyond you is a good reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Like the one thing that's going to last once you pass is a good reputation.
That's right.
Your possessions get passed on, and they're gone.
Yep.
People, they might remember a little bit of what you've done, but your reputation of who you were and the type of person you were, that's what's going to get remembered.
True.
And so that reputation is valuable.
Yep. It's like costly perfume. Yep.
Yep. So that's the easy one. But then it gets a bit harder. And the day you die is better than the day you are born. Wow. Now this is a bit deeper. And there's a few different thoughts I think on this one. Like the day you die better than the day you were born. I mean, the day you die better, it means you've hopefully lived a life.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so a positive aspect to it.
That
Okay, I hadn't thought about that.
You've lived hopefully a long life.
You've served the Lord in your generation, like it says of David, and then he died. Yeah, so there's that kind of, precious in the Lord's eyes of the death of his saints. That kind of concept that you've served faithfully, and the day of death is like a long life of faithfulness. You kind of have that sense of, oh, that was good. I've been to the odd funeral where, think of I was actually Pastor Edwina's grandfather. I went to his funeral and listening to the man who'd served the Lord faithfully, died, I think, in his 90s, had faithfully served all the way through his life, served the kingdom of God. There was this celebratory tone, like that was a life well lived.
Beautiful.
But that's not always the norm. You don't always hear that.
That's right. So there's that's one side of it. There's other texts here as well. It says, better that you weren't born at all.
Yeah.
In Ecclesiastes as well. So
yeah, well, that's what it says here. You're better off not being born. Exactly. That's a pretty depressing.
There's the flip side of it as well.
I wonder if it's because he's saying that if you find yourself in this pit of chasing meaning in all the heaven places, then you're pretty much better off not being born, because in the end you're going to live your whole life unsatisfied. I wonder if that's what he's saying. So he's actually not saying this as an observation of the way it is, but this is what will happen to you if you try to have a quest for meaning in the wrong place.
Yeah, if you're living the Hevel life.
If you're living the Hevel life, you're better off not being born.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to have a satisfied life. You're never going to be happy.
The life is meaningless.
Yes.
That you are in that meaningless place. So yeah, it's worthless.
Yes.
You have wasted your life, and you were better off not. Yeah. And that sounds so harsh, doesn't it?
It does, but I think it's pretty confronting for us.
Yeah, because we hold on to life as being so valued, but so did the Jews.
Totally.
They held life to being so valued,
and the Jews knew how to party. I mean, that Jews they could party better than the rest of us.
Yeah,
and yet here he is saying better off hanging out at a funeral. So I mean, he's using some poetic. I think he's using some deliberately confronting poetic language.
That piece there is really interesting, because when you think about it, if you show up to a party, who remembers that you were at their party?
Ah, I see. Good point.
No one remembers that you were at the party.
Yeah.
But if you show up in someone's moment of need,
great.
People remember. Now, you might remember that you showed up in their moment of need.
But they remember.
But they remember.
Yeah. And we have seen this multiple times as pastors too. We've always said, Jill will try to get to every funeral. We don't get to every funeral. We had one recently we weren't able to get to, but made sure that we do everything we can to acknowledge that. But Jill has said, she's so good at this, saying, if I can get to the funeral of any family member in our church, I will do everything I possibly can to get there. Sometimes we can't, but because of that same reason, it's being there for a person when they need it most.
Now, I did try and remember the word, and I'm gonna butcher this. Is it Shiva?
Shiva, sitting Shiva, sitting Shiva. Yep.
Sitting Shiva. That's the practice of sitting silently.
Yep. For a lot, I think Shiva's multiple days, isn't it?
Multiple days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's sitting, and it's a practice that you do, and it's sitting in silence basically with someone that's grieving.
Totally.
And so if you're spoken to, then you speak with that person.
Otherwise, you just sit there.
Otherwise, you sit there with them.
I heard someone
For
say
the- well,
recently,
really,
it's like about Job's
for
friends.
them.
Job's friends were just what Job needed them to be until they opened their mouth. Isn't that true?
So true.
And that's exactly the point. Well, my
Can you just Shiva, please?
yeah, just shut up and Shiva. Yeah, exactly. While they were sitting there for many days, they were spot on, and then they made the mistake of saying something.
So good.
Pastoral care lesson 101. Right there.
Just
So good.
Shiva.
Yeah, just Shiva. And well, but my son-in-law is Lebanese, and the Maronite Lebanese, they do this. So they have a ritual that usually the night, if I'm correct, the night before the funeral, everyone comes over and pays their respects at the home. And that's a normal Lebanese practice. They come around and they sit and they're just there, and they do it. Now, just like anything, it can be warped into, I keep up appearances. I don't want to be off the list because I wasn't there. But the principle comes from sitting Shiva, that they understand that just to be present in someone's moment of need is such a gift.
That's what this, isn't it? It's that moment of that being there for them, because you show up at someone's party, you're in party mode.
Yep.
There could be 200 people
Yep.
at the party. You can't remember. Like I got married 20 years ago this year.
Don't even remember everyone who's there.
I can't remember everyone that was at the wedding.
No, of course not.
Vanessa probably remembers everyone
Yeah.
at the wedding. I remember plenty of people at the wedding.
Yeah.
It's not that I can't remember my wedding,
Yeah.
but
And
remembering the
that's a
guests at the
significant
wedding,
moment. Yeah.
and that was a really significant moment in my life. But like Vanessa has a really big family, and
Yeah, sure.
and they'll be really offended to know that I can't
You
remember.
can't remember who was
at
there.
the wedding.
I'll be the same too.
I'm like,
Yeah.
there was lots of people there at the wedding.
But that's the principle. But people
Yeah.
remember you in your moment of need.
Yep.
Better to spend time at funerals than parties. Well, it's good.
Yeah.
Good thought.
Cool. Let's jump down. We're gonna skip a whole lot now. Let's
Okay,
jump
let's do
down
it.
to 15 to 17.
Mhm.
I have seen everything in this meaningless life, including the death of good young people
Mm-hmm.
and the long life of wicked people. So don't be too good or too wise. Well, that's a contradiction right there, isn't it? Why destroy yourself? On the other hand, don't be too wicked either.
Ooh, I wonder what he's saying here.
Don't be a fool. Don't die before your time.
Wow.
Ooh.
That needs a long
Oh,
meditative thought for me to know what he's saying. That's a bit of a wait what moment.
yeah.
Because it seems
Isn't
like,
it ever?
well, even to say don't be too good or too wise. I mean, why destroy yourself?
Yeah.
At
It's like-
first glance, I mean, I know he's saying it, but it could be read like he's saying, look, some people are going to be super good and super wise, and they're still going to die, so don't be too good or wise.
because there's some unfairness in this, right?
It's injustice. Yeah, keep going. That's good.
So, like a young good person dies, but a wicked person lives a long life. That's unfair.
That's unjust. Yeah, unfair. Yep, that's right.
Right. And, like that's meaningless.
Yep.
Why does that young person die?
Mm.
So then he's sort of saying, so don't be too good. Because did that young person,
Did they
that
die
was-
because they were too good?
they were so good, they didn't get to experience some life?
Maybe.
They didn't go
maybe.
travel. They didn't explore. They
Maybe.
didn't go and get
okay.
married. They didn't leave home. They didn't do stuff. They didn't live life because they were so concerned on being righteous.
I like that.
Were they so concerned
They're so obsessed with
with being good
yes.
that they didn't step out and go, God, what do you want from me?
Were
'cause
they
I'm-
so obsessed with being good that they failed to recognize? How about put it this way? They were so obsessed with being a gift to God that they
Yes.
failed to recognize the gifts that God had given them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
And they missed out on the calling
Yep.
and their giftings
Yep.
and the gift they were to other people.
Yeah. Because they thought they were being
And
a
they
gift
were
to God.
hoarding it to themselves.
Yeah, that's that. I wonder if that's what it's saying. It fits the context.
Totally.
Yeah, because otherwise it seems out of
It's out
for
of
him to say
place.
don't be good. But if it's don't be too good, Yes. Okay. I'll take that. I reckon that's a
Yeah.
good call on what it's saying there.
Because he's not saying be wicked.
No, in fact, he goes on and says that's exactly right. He's not saying be wicked either.
He's saying don't be too wicked. Don't be wicked. He's saying don't be
Yeah.
wicked.
I wonder if there's a little bit of moderation
Yeah.
in this.
It's just like go and live life.
Yeah, live life. Yeah.
Be, go live with God. Go live life. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's what it is.
And, why die before your time?
Mm.
Because, don't be a fool. So,
If you're going to be, yeah.
do the right thing. Don't be a fool. Don't die before your time.
Yep. I wonder. I think that's a good explanation as I can come up with late in the evening when I've been talking for 7 hours today. I think that's as good as anything, Shannon. Well done.
Let's jump down to 24.
24.
Wisdom is always distant and difficult to find.
Ah, yes.
Now, is it? Because it is and it isn't.
Correct.
Because is wisdom a lack of experience? Because we can ask our Heavenly Father for wisdom.
Yep. James 1, I just read it. Yep.
Right? We can ask for wisdom. But if we haven't lived life, can we apply wisdom to it?
Because wisdom is knowing what to do, when to do it, when not to do it. It's applied knowledge.
Yeah,
So you need to be living life in order to exercise wisdom.
that's right.
Yep.
So there's sort of got to be this. It's distant if you haven't lived life.
If you're not in the moment, if you're not doing what he's advocating in chapter 5, live in that moment, enjoy every moment, experience it as a gift that God has given you, then you're not going to have a chance to use wisdom the way it should be used.
Yeah, because you've got to be able to apply it.
Yes, that's right.
And so if you're not doing it and then you do something stupid and then you go, I've got to apply wisdom and you've never practiced it.
Yeah, true.
So you've got to do small things. It's like riding a bike, right?
Yep, that's a good way
You
to
got to
put it.
be, you got wisdom training wheels on.
Yeah, that's right.
And
You get your wisdom
you-
training wheels, you start to
you
use those and you get it.
practice.
Yep, that's right.
And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I've got to make a bigger decision right now.
Yep.
And then you're making those bigger decisions.
Wow, that's brilliant.
And you've got that knowledge of I can make wise decisions because I've got this skill that I've just been doing it in life for years now that I'm able to make wise decisions because it's natural to me.
Yep.
And it's not that I haven't stopped asking for wisdom. It's that I've been asking, I've been receiving it, and I've been applying it.
Yes.
And it's that
cycle. Cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I would add to what you're saying there because it makes sense is that, see, this is part of the wisdom books, Ecclesiastes, but all of Scripture is wisdom literature. And it harkens right back to the garden that, when the woman saw that the tree what she thought would give her wisdom for life, that's when she took from it. So there was something enticing about the tree that would give her wisdom. And it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, if we apply what we're saying here, knowing what's good and what's evil, what's right and wrong is actually a good tov and ra are the Hebrew words, right and wrong, good and bad, that kind of thing. We would all agree it's good to know what's right and wrong. If you want to be successful in life, you need to know what's right and what's wrong. You need to know what to do and what not to do, right? That is true wisdom. So the question is, did God really want the humans to have wisdom or not? And the answer has to be, the scriptures are clear. Yes, he does want us to have wisdom. The thing was, he knew that when we try to get wisdom on our own, it will inevitably fall short. We will take wisdom and we will misapply our knowledge. We will take the knowledge and misapply it, and it will hurt other people. And it wasn't that they weren't to get wisdom, it's that they were to get wisdom by letting God teach them wisdom. But instead of wanting God to teach them wisdom, they took wisdom for themselves.
So it's almost for us having that revelation of I'm limited to my understanding So I'm
I have part of the story.
I don't have it all.
Yep.
And so I'm needing wisdom.
Yep.
And so I'm relying on God the Father.
Yep. And that's what James
for
says.
that wisdom.
Ask God for that wisdom.
And so I have a limited.
Yep.
I don't have the whole picture, and I'm reliant. It's having the reliance on Him.
Yes.
For that.
So we have and should apply wisdom as we get it in life. God wants to teach us wisdom exactly the way you just said. It's the cycle. Apply a bit, have it work, or realize it doesn't work, learn something from it, apply the next bit. That's how God wanted to teach. And actually ultimately how He teaches the Israelites wisdom through the law, through teaching them the right way to live, little by little by little. That was always God's intention. It's when we short circuit and try and take it for ourselves that we miss it. And it comes back. So here's what I say. We have limited wisdom, but we have unlimited access to the source of wisdom.
Yeah, okay.
And the key is to ask God whenever we don't have it. God would say, hey, I'm going to give you the wisdom you need. And if I don't give it to you, you don't need it yet.
Yeah.
So, to sum up chapter 12, right at the very end, the author says, here's the whole story. Here now is the final conclusion. Fear God, obey His commands. Let's put Him first. For that is everyone's duty. God will judge everything according to what He has done. So you get the wisdom from. Oh, here we go. I'm going to back up a little bit. Here's what he says at the beginning. Let me read the author's conclusion. He says, "Here's what the teacher said: everything is meaningless, completely meaningless. Keep this in mind." This is the author speaking. The teacher, he was considered wise, and he taught the people everything he knew, and he listened carefully to many proverbs, studying and classifying them. The teacher sought to find just the right words to express the truths clearly. The words of the wise are like a cattle prod, painful but helpful. Their collected sayings are like nail-studded stick, which a shepherd drives the sheep with. We've seen some of that today.
Yeah, yep.
But my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful, for writing books is endless and much study wears you out. Here's the whole story. Fear God. Obey His commands. So if we will fear Him, if we will seek Him, if we will put Him first, He will give us that supernatural source of wisdom to know what to do, when to do it, how to find true meaning in life, which is not going to be in the things that we so often go looking for it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's, I'm going to give my ending away, but hey, let's just do it now. Hevel, life is meaningless without God.
Yes. Yep.
But with God,
yep,
it is meaningful.
Even meaningless life can be, bump my microphone there, even meaningless life can be meaningful.
Yes.
Even what the world thinks is meaningless,
with God
has great gain.
That's right. Without God, it is all hevel.
Yep.
With God,
yep,
it is all meaningful. It's, I don't know what the opposite word to hevel is.
No, I wonder what it is too.
But without God, it is hevel. Yep. But with God, it is all meaningful.
Absolutely.
And so that's the answer, is without God, life is hevel. But with God, that is no longer the case. And so that's the answer, and that's what the author's saying.
That's
here.
what the author's saying.
How
about this? I just thought of it as you said it. How about this? Paul says to Timothy in 1 Timothy 6, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. People who want to get rich fall into temptation and trap into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs."
Oh, that's
I reckon he's meditating on Ecclesiastes when he says that.
Right there.
Yeah, I reckon that's what he's meditating on.
Totally.
I've never seen it before, but I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Contentment with godliness is great gain.
Wow.
Wow, that's a good summary of Ecclesiastes.
It is.
Of what we're saying.
Well, we've got two more verses out of chapter 7, which is 28 and 29. Though I have searched repeatedly, I have not... This is the U2 verse, I reckon. Though I have searched repeatedly, I have not found what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Only 1 out of 1,000 men is virtuous.
It's a funny verse as well.
But not one woman. This is you got to explain this one.
Oh, I don't even know how to begin to explain that one.
But I love this. But I did find this: God created people to be virtuous. He just didn't look hard enough.
Yeah.
But they have each turned to follow their own downward path.
Yeah.
And I think this just reflects on when we are diligent in looking for true wisdom, we can seek God.
Yep.
And we can be, virtuous. We can, see the true meaning of life, the true complexities of life, the
nuance of life. Yeah, that's
nuances.
Right. Yep.
All those pieces. But when we, when we're not wise, when we are seeking the hevel, that we miss all of it.
Yep.
And we do go down the downward path and we spiral.
Yep.
And it's out of control very quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
It's a very short step. And
So
it's a trip very quick.
And what's the issue? We have sought to follow our own will.
Yes.
And our own sense of what will bring us purpose,
And
meaning,
satisfaction.
success, satisfaction, all of that.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a quick downward path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when we search at ourselves looking in the wrong places,
Mm-hmm.
that's and we see it in so many different places around the world right now when people are going, I think this is going to be my answer.
Oh, yes.
I think this is going to be my answer.
Yep.
No, this is my answer.
Yep.
And every week they've got a new answer.
Yep.
And it's like, well, hang on. The answer is Jesus.
Yep. That's right.
This is the answer.
Amen.
And when
Find our contentment in him.
we are content in him, and it's not saying that life is going to be easy in Jesus.
No, absolutely not.
It's not.
No.
That's
In
not
this life, you will face many troubles. But
yes.
take heart, I've overcome the world.
I've overcome the world.
Yep.
In fact, it's a promise. You will have.
Yes, you will have.
You
In this
will have.
world, you will face. Not you might. Or if you're really naughty, you might. No, he's talking to his disciples.
You
will
will.
face many troubles.
And so I think when we realize that when we focus on Jesus, when we know that he is the answer, that we don't have to worry about that downward path.
Yep.
That, okay, if we live this way, that, hey, it's going to be okay.
That's right.
We don't need to worry about all this other stuff, the hevel life chasing us.
Come on, that's great.
It's going to be okay.
Yep.
It's going to be okay.
Amen. Amen to that. One final thought, and then we'll move on to where it says the thing about 1,000 men. I was just sitting there going, not one woman. I'm not going to get into the debate around what
He just
meant
didn't
there.
look hard enough.
He didn't look hard enough.
But
But
you know probably why? Because he probably didn't speak to any women at all.
he probably didn't. No, that's probably. Oh,
He probably was looking in
he
his
was doing
courtyard and
his-
there was no women there at all.
Well, that's my point. I was going to say how quickly the men would go, yeah, that's right. Not one woman's virtuous. But that's rather arrogant because there's a 999 out of 1,000 chance that you're not virtuous either. But how quickly we men assume that we're the virtuous one.
He probably thought he was the
He
virtuous
was
one.
the virtuous one, and the 999 other guys aren't. Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap up with chapter 8.
I'm just thinking if he had have actually surveyed the women, he probably got the answer and went, "Oh, I can't write that.
I can't write that
because
down."
they're all right. That's the thing.
That's right. Exactly. Fun times.
Okay, chapter 8. Oh, we're gonna skip right the way through to the end.
Are we?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it. Let's be naughty. Let's jump down to verses 14 and 15. Let's
All right.
skip half of it.
Come on then.
Okay, verse 14, if I can find it. Here we go. And this is not all that is meaningless in our world. In this life, good people are often treated as though they are wicked.
Injustice again.
And wicked people are often treated as though they are good. This is so meaningless. And so I recommend having fun, because there is nothing better for people in this world than to eat, drink, and enjoy life.
I think there's 3 times we
Yep.
read one. This is the second one. I can't remember what the other one is, but there's 3 times he says this.
He says this, that's
phrase.
right.
Yep.
That way, they will experience some happiness along with the hard work God gives them under the sun. I like this. I take this as an encouragement to say, look, there's going to be some times in life where you're going to be treated unfairly.
Yep.
It's almost like a bit of a warning. There's going to be times where you're going to be at work, you're going to be at home, you're going to be out for dinner, you're going to be driving on the roads, you're going to be somewhere and you're going to be treated unfairly.
You've done everything right.
You've done
and
everything
it still
right,
goes belly up.
and it's still not going to be okay. And you know what? The best way to handle it is to go out, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, have some dinner.
Yep.
Enjoy your life.
Yep.
Because if you go and get caught up in focusing on the thing that was unfair,
Mm-hmm.
and look at the road rage that happens today.
Yeah, true.
Like, I seen an incident on the weekend of like someone, just was pulling out and someone didn't like it. And there's this road rage incident that's happening. I'm like, how do I get away from this?
Yeah.
Because the person just pulled out. They didn't do anything wrong. They're
No.
just moving lanes. And there's this one car, they're reacting to it.
Just gone off.
They're gone off, and so they're cutting through lanes now because they want to cut in front of this other car to brake check them. I'm like, what is going on? Like,
That's not fun, is it?
This is crazy. This
Yeah.
world has gone crazy.
Yep.
Because someone just changed lanes. And this other person thinks it's their right now
Yep. To somehow be the
to
justice person.
to the justice person
Yeah.
to put everyone else's life.
Yeah.
And it's a 110K zone. Like,
Wow. So this is happening at high speed.
this is happening at high speed. I'm like going,
Get out of the way.
Now,
Slow down. Get out of the way.
we're out trying to look for a car. I'm trying to look for a car because the car's already been written off by another driver that was doing the wrong thing. I'm like, I don't want my car, my actual other car
Other
to be
car
written off.
Yep.
I'm just watching this happening. I'm like, okay, they're on a 3-lane highway, 110 zone. This is crazy. This is crazy. Just slow down, get away from them. If they have an accident, just don't let it be affecting me,
Yeah.
But I think this happens when people just are so uptight because it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. Life's not fair.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, life's not fair.
Yep.
And it's not going to be fair.
That's right.
It's not going to be fair.
No.
I wish it was, but it's
that
not.
promise lies in the future. We just finished Revelation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that promise is that one day he will wipe away every tear.
Yep.
One day he will bring justice to everyone who's ever cut you off. One
Yep.
day he will, he'll right every wrong. And that's the bit where we live with that future hope, that apocalypse of the eschaton, that revealing of the end, and live with that hope that, hey, I don't have to take vengeance into my own hand. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. Live with that expectation. And then if you do that, it gives us freedom to be a bit more relaxed in life and eat and drink and enjoy, because we go, all right, well, God will sort that out.
Yep.
It's not on me to sort it out. It's not on me, because the thing is, I'm not advocating here for not seeking justice. The courts of the law are there.
Yes.
We're
totally.
not saying don't seek justice. We believe in
Not
justice.
at all.
We believe that those judicial systems, as flawed as they are part of
what
the
what
future
needs to
kingdom
happen.
coming into now.
That's right.
Justice is part of
But
that.
sometimes it's these small things
Yep.
that are totally, when we
Yep.
work up over these small things that are outside of our control, like the road rage incidences. Now, if someone then gets out of the car and is bashing on
Yeah.
your window on that, You're calling the
Yes,
police.
that's right. That
okay?
because that's a criminal matter.
That's now a criminal matter.
Yes, that's right.
And for any, let's just put out, for any criminal matter, it needs to be handled by the courts.
Yes.
But it's these small injustices, like I was lining up and someone pushed in.
Yep.
Now, no one's calling the police on this.
No, and the only person that's affecting is us.
It's us.
It's chewing us up.
And that's when we're losing our peace.
Yes.
So I had an incident. I was going down for a coffee, and I was driving down from home down Bald Hill, and there's a car that cut out in front of me to get in my way. I'm like, wow, that was not needed, but okay, you want to drive off, whatever. And then they drove at around 35 Ks in front of me, and there's no overtaking area to where I need to go.
How was your grace right at that moment?
I'm like, okay. And I'm just praying, and I'm like,
yep, that's a good example.
okay.
Yep.
I'm like, Jesus, I don't understand right now what is going on, but something's not right. And I just feel Jesus just drop into my soul. This person is trying to steal your peace.
Yes.
Okay. I got a battle happening right now. I'm going to a meeting, and it's a fairly important meeting. I need to have my peace with me for what I'm about to go and do. I'm like, okay, they're trying to steal my peace. Okay, well, we got a battle.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have my peace stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know what's going on.
Yep.
I don't care if they drive at 35 Ks an hour for the next 10 minutes.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
So whatever happens now, that's the speed we're doing.
Yep. And how did that go?
It was totally fine.
Yeah.
The part that got me right at the end is where the overtaking lane was, where I was turning off.
Yep.
They then sped
up.
And I'm like,
that's case in point. What am I talking about?
Don't steal my peace. I'm not going to let you steal my peace.
Because there's a little hint to get you right at that moment. I've been so good all the way through, and how dare you do that?
I'm like, don't steal my peace. I'm not going to let you steal my peace. Because that was the last thing, right? Because they're going, and this is enemy.
Yeah.
I'm like, and the enemy knows. And the enemy's going, nah, this guy's still got his peace.
Yep.
I reckon I know how to get him. And they almost got it. They almost got it
right at the end, even though you've done so well. Just to think, why couldn't you have driven faster? Yeah, I get that. Yep.
And so I got it, and I had the meeting. It was all good.
Yep.
But I had to say to the person, they're going, how are you? I'm like, I was just really honest. I'm like, no, I just had a moment.
Yeah.
And they're going, tell me what happened.
Yep.
And I'm like, I just had someone try and steal my peace.
Mm.
And they go, tell me more about that, And I was able to share, But I'm like, wow, these moments happen.
Yep.
And we get tested, these little things. So I got to have that build up.
That's what happens. Is it might seem insignificant, but if you keep giving in to those moments after moment after moment, we find ourselves. That's how domestic violence happens. So we fly off the handle because there's a build up of tension, and eventually the dam bursts and ends up. That's what Jesus is saying. Anger is murder. Yeah. Because if you let anger harbor, eventually anger will manifest in any of us in murder if we let it go on for long enough.
Because it just builds and builds and builds and builds.
And this book's saying here, recognizing that does happen. Sometimes, wicked people get away with stuff and righteous people are treated as evil.
Yeah.
We've talked about the righteous dying in the previous chapter. Now he's saying sometimes the righteous people will be treated as though they're evil. You'll get misrepresented, misunderstood, all the other misses that I can think of at this late hour, that you all of those things will happen, even though you're doing your very best to be faithful.
Yeah,
and that is sucky and it's unfair, but in the end, God will right that, and it's not on us.
So the recommendation is to have fun.
Have fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine?
Live in the moment, enjoy it.
At the time, hey, go and have some fun.
Yeah.
You need to cut yourself some slack.
Yep.
Go and be with your mates.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, go and go and be with the ladies.
Yep.
Go and have a coffee.
A merry heart doeth good like medicine.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably
go and give yourself spoil yourself a little bit.
Go and do something to enjoy the moment.
Go and do the thing that's going to set your heart free.
Yeah, that's right.
What is that?
What will give you peace? What
Yep.
will give you freedom from this thing?
And,
Yeah, it's great,
and
Shannon.
let's face it, like we live in one of the most blessed countries in the world. You know, like people go, "Oh, you having a hard day today?" And it's embarrassing when if I ever say, "Oh, yeah, I'm having a hard day," it's embarrassing to say that. I live in a country. I live in the 2% of the wealthiest people in the world. Like, and it's embarrassing to say I'm having a hard day.
Yeah.
That's
Gotcha.
embarrassing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not living in a third world country.
Yeah.
You know, and we've got our challenges. We've all got our challenges, and they're all, in the perspective that we live in. But wow, we live in a blessed country.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, isn't that being thankful in the moment? And we can be thankful even in the moment of injustice. We can be thankful.
Totally.
We can go, okay, well, there are people who it's not fair what's happened to me. It's not fair what's happened to my children. It's not fair what's happened to my church or the people in my church. It's not fair that person died young. It's not fair. And there are people who suffer even worse injustices.
yeah,
So let me channel that frustration towards something positive.
yeah.
Let me channel that towards fairness and justice for others. Let me not let the injustice become all-consuming on me. Nothing wrong with recognizing the injustice, even if it's toward you.
Yep.
But then channeling it in such a way that it brings positivity into the world.
Yep. And then go and be with some people.
Yep.
Don't go and hide yourself
Yeah, that's
away.
right. Yep. Have
Because
some fun.
That's the other thing we often do as well. We then go and recluse ourselves.
Yep.
Go and be with your people.
Yep.
Go and be with people,
Amen.
which I really think is important.
Amen indeed.
Okay, last two verses. Here we go, verses 16 and 17. In my search for wisdom and in my observation of people's burdens here on earth, I discovered that there is ceaseless activity day and night. I realized that no one can discover everything God is doing under the sun. Not even the wisest people discover everything, no matter what they claim.
Stop trying to be God.
Stop trying to be God. There is insufficient ability for us to be able to do this. We can't. Even when we think we can grasp it, it's Havel.
Yep.
We think we're able to hold onto it, and it's smoke.
We're in fear. We're what's the word? We're not eternal beings. We're temporal beings.
Yep.
Yep.
We're here for a moment.
Yep.
We're here today. We're gone
We're
tomorrow.
fallible.
And it's
We're
a short
imperfect.
life.
Yep.
It's a short life.
Yep.
And that's the activity is ceaseless. There's an encouragement there as well for us. God is doing more than we know.
Yeah. Even in the midst of our hardships, God will redeem. That's redemptive nature of God. It's
Yes.
trusting in the fact that God will take our mistakes
Yep.
and the horrible things that are the injustices that are done to us, and He, in His infinite wisdom, will redeem them.
It's the inevitability of God.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you think that's hard?
Yeah, it's nothing. I can do
That's
that.
nothing.
I can handle that.
You know what? You know how many things I'm doing right now
Yeah,
in the world?
that's right.
Come on. I've got that.
Yeah, that's right. That's great,
not,
Shannon.
that's not an effort.
No.
Come on. I've got your back.
Yeah, and you don't even have to figure it out. Not even the wisest people can discover everything, no matter what they claim. I think that's trying to say, which is part of this message here, is that when we try to explain everything, when we try to be able to get, something in human nature wants to be able to say, tie a bow around everything and say, this is why this happened.
Yeah.
But there are lots of things in life that we can't tie a bow around. Why did that person die young? The things that talked about here, why did that injustice happen? And I think he's trying to say, look, there are things that are beyond human capability.
Yeah.
You don't need to tie a bow around. In fact, that's the walk of faith, that you actually trust God. You don't need to be able to explain anything. Talking about the end time stuff we've just done, part of the reason everyone wants to get into interpreting the end times and saying this is why it's happening is because then we can explain why Iran tries to attack Israel or Israel attacks Gaza or whatever. It's like we have this insatiable need to be able to have control
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
point is, God's saying you're not supposed to have control.
No.
You're supposed to surrender control.
This is the mystery of God.
Yes.
We don't like mystery.
No, we don't.
Like, I was just talking to someone at work the other day, and they were talking about, I need to know the end of a movie before I go and watch the movie because I need to know what happens. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You sound like Jill.
Like, you got to know the end of the movie? And they're going, yeah. I'm like, no, that's the mystery. That's the surprise. I want the twist.
You want the twist at the end.
I want to be sitting there going, I think I know what's happening.
You,
And,
you sound
sort
like
of,
my wife.
You sort of think you've worked it out, and then they hit you with the twist, and you're like, I didn't see that coming.
You like that, don't you?
That's awesome.
Oh, you're funny.
I want the story. I want the mystery. And that's the mystery
Jill
of
may have said
God.
something to me last night. We were watching the final episode of the Netflix show Ripley, and it took us a while to realise that it was based on the original. I wondered, but I didn't know the original talented Mr. Ripley. And she said something, we were watching the final episode, and she said something like, don't you tell me what happens, because I'd been looking up the history of the Ripley books just to see what it was about. And she said, don't you tell me what happens. She said, your life will not be worth living if you tell me what happens.
Yes, because you want that mystery. You want that. You want that suspense. And I think we don't like living on the edge of our seat. Now, I love sport. Now, South Sydney Rabbitohs this year, it's a horrible year.
Yeah.
And every now and again, your team has a horrible year. And it's South Sydney's turn. It's our year.
Yep.
Hopefully we don't get the wooden spoon. Hopefully it's Parramatta. If you're a Parramatta fan, hopefully it's all yours. But at the moment, it's got South Sydney
it's looking
name
like
on
Souths
it,
at the
right?
moment, isn't it?
But I love sport. And when you're on the edge of your seat, because you don't know what's going to happen. And there's been some sports games I've been to, and you're on the edge of your seat. And you're like, I just don't know what's going to happen. And I remember a game, a cricket match. I think it was a Sixers game. It was like a final, and it went to a super oval.
Yep.
Over.
Yep.
And like it was the
There's
most
nothing quite as exciting as that,
boring
is there?
match we've been to. Like the first 20, it was a 2020. The first 20 overs was okay.
Yeah.
And this next 7 were good. And then it just went to this lull of boredom. And like the most exciting thing was there was a paper airplane that went from the top stand all the way, and it made it to the onto the ground.
Everyone loves that,
cheered.
That was the most exciting thing in the game.
Movie
up until the Super Oval.
Paper Airplane movie came out, and we all cheered. And even the players turned around, didn't know what was going on. And then it went to a super over, and we were like,
It came
this
alive.
could happen. And the whole place was erupted.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't know what was going to happen in the super over, because the mystery of what was going to happen was amazing. And
Well,
I think
that's the point.
we lose that sometimes.
And if we get, the Revelation is saying, pull back the curtain. Just there's a beautiful story behind this. There is an ultimate victory. I'm going to close the curtain back up now and let you go back to living your life. You need to know that you don't need to know. You need to just trust that it will work out the way I think it will.
Yes. You've got the victory.
Yep.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. You don't need to know when or how.
Yep.
You just need to know that in the end, God will wipe away every tear and right every wrong. In the meantime, live in the moment, eat, drink, and enjoy life.
Yeah. So chapter 8 really does encourage humanity to face life's uncertainties.
Yep.
To go, hey, life's uncertainty, and there's mysteries, and it does really encourage us to trust.
Yes.
To trust God, to say, hey, even though there's going to be some injustices in our world, there's going to be some pieces that we go, I don't think that's fair, we need to trust him.
Yeah.
We
amen.
need to trust him. So I think looking at all our chapters, there's, we look at the emptiness of the existence for humanity sometimes, that we grab onto the things that are empty.
Yep.
And we shouldn't grab onto those things. So we need to stop the worldly pursuits of the emptiness and pursue what God is calling us to pursue, and pursue him.
Yep. Amen.
We've got the injustices and uncertainties. That's a big theme in the books the chapters that we've looked at. And we need to, see that there's going to be some injustices and some randomness that's going to happen through life sometimes. And that's going to be a bit hard for us. But if we look at, not the frustrations, but we look at pursuing God's heart, there's a reward there for us that if we look at. If we look at also accepting, being, a bit more of the humility side of things, being a bit more humbled, of going, okay, there's some limitations
Yes.
on us.
Yep, we don't have to
We don't know it all.
know it all. Yep.
And we're not going to know all the answers. Life's going to be okay. We can just trust God and his providence over us and go, we need your wisdom, please.
Yes, please, Lord.
Please,
Give us
Lord.
the wisdom we need.
Give us your wisdom. We don't know everything. There's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of mystery, and we trust you.
Yep.
And then we keep searching for the meaning. That Jesus is that meaning.
Yes.
And we keep on that
keep
search
on the focus for him.
for him.
Fear God, honor him. Yeah.
We keep following him.
Then if we do that, we can appreciate the smoke for what it is. There's a beauty in smoke.
Totally.
There's a beauty in seeing it, watching it take all its beautiful flavors, shapes, and all that sort of stuff, and going, that's got a beauty to it. But if we're trying to shape it up, we're actually going to take away some of its beauty.
Exactly right. And what's one of the things we love to do? We love sitting around a campfire and we watch.
We watch it for hours.
Watch it and we watch and we watch it. So yeah, that's the
That's Ecclesiastes 4-8.
4-8.
Well done. We made it, Shannon.
We did it.
I think I'm coherent at the end of the day.
Well done.
You're awesome, Shannon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode.